Exxon 100 vessels took to the water, pushed through a storm and to the Valdez Sea. We lined up our boats, formed a blockade, and we waited for whatever might be. Was approaching. It was a sight to see there in the twilight of the day. We saw it turning. We all cheered and cried as tanker after tanker turned away. The Coast Guard gunship from Seattle would take 3 days to get up to the sound. We held the line till then we went back home to Cordova, to this hallowed, oiled ground. I'm a fisherman, so were my parents. Here in Cordova, on Prince William Sound. Israel was bombing Gaza. I was here in Brisbane. I was at the Woodford Festival, which was the most surreal place to be when a major international event is happening like that. It just seemed like, what are we going to do here at the festival? You know what I mean? There's things you can do. You can talk to lots of people, but certainly no government officials hanging around there or anything. Like no federal buildings or something. Just feel a bit disconnected. Then I came back and sang at a protest in Brisbane here, and it was a lovely event, despite the circumstances. And then I was in Denmark a couple months ago when the siege on the ships happened last time, and then I got to sing at 2 protests in 2 different countries on the same day, which is easy to do in Europe, but it's hard to do here. 48, they were driven out at the point of a machine gun. Families fled in fear to Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. They fled around the globe, firmly held in terror's grip, and about 1 million refugees ended up in the Gaza Strip. 1967, the IDF moved in, and the refugees in Gaza became refugees again. Settlers took their farmland, soldiers took the ports, and the people were surrounded by military forts in 2007. Cut them off completely. No access to the borders, no access to the sea. The world began to see this unavoidable stem. The most crowded place on earth was now a concentration camp. Israeli jet fighters bombed Gaza from the air, and they kept out the supplies needed to rebuild and repair. They kept out the convoys of humanitarian aid, leaving children going hungry, crushed and burned and bombing raids from around the world. Good people tried to get across the border to the other side. Almost all of them were turned away, deported back to Turkey, Jordan, France, the USA. They were barred from ever coming back. the bottom grades to wear. They packed cement by the ton. They had a few kitchen knives, but not a single gun. They were determined to reach the bay, to break the siege of Gaza and not be turned away. As they left Turkish waters, everybody wished them well. As for what would happen next, only the apartheid state could tell. All north of Mavi, Mamara, sailing toward Goliath's kingdom, armed with nothing but a skull. All north of Mavi, Mamara, tell the children of Jerusalem, you are not alone. 700 people on board this Turkish ferry. They were 60 miles from the shore, out in the open sea, in international waters, with no plans for turning back. That's when Netanyahu told his soldiers to attack. They came down from helicopters, fired guns from Zodiacs. They shot some people in their heads and shot others in their backs. The captain raised a white flag high into the air, but the soldiers kept on shooting beneath the floodlights glare. The soldiers kept on shooting. It was a free fire zone. So many dead and wounded, just how many isn't known. So many dead and wounded, blood flowing on the floor. But the soldiers kept on shooting 60 miles from the shore. Medics tried to treat the wounded, all they could do was watch them bleed. The soldiers wouldn't let them get the urgent help they needed. Mass troopers held their hostages. The Navy towed the ship just for trying to sail to the Gaza Strip. All north of Mavi, Mamara, sailing toward Goliath's kingdom, armed with nothing but a skull. All north of Mavi, Mamara, tell the children of Jerusalem, you are not alone. Took every laptop, every camera and cell phone. This is what Goliath does to those who dare to throw a stone. The ghost of the Exodus is shouting